Welcome into the Casual Gaming Conversation. I'm Connor. That's Nick. We are joined by Brady this week to break down everything we saw/played at Summer Game Fest Play Days. We had a lot of fun out there playing and seeing a lot of games. But before we get into that, Nick, how are you feeling?
Unbelievably amazing and tired. A lot of late nights, a lot of games played. LA was just wild. Just an awesome trip. So proud of the past week of content that we've produced and what we've done between the Switch content and you and I staying up till 2:30 in the morning unboxing that thing on Wednesday, and then Thursday night falling asleep for a couple hours to then fly out and do what we did in LA and talking about that on the show. It's just been an amazing bit of content. So tired, but truly, this is the peak of what games are all about, baby. I feel great right now. Yeah, I'm very fulfilled. Brady, yeah.
I'm in the same boat. I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, I'm obviously very tired. Woke up, went to work this morning. Literally before this podcast, Nick was telling me about how he got to sleep in a little bit, and I was like, Nick, you got to stop talking right now. But no, I'm still kicking. I feel like at the beginning of the weekend, we're always like, we're gonna blink and then it's gonna be over, and it literally felt like that. Like we had some late nights and met some cool people, but yeah, we blinked and I was back at work stacking boxes, and it was not as fun as playing video games.
We literally, before the Mario Kart World stream on Thursday, Brady and I sat out on my front stoop a little bit, had a drink, had a conversation, being like, we're just going to be here, and all of a sudden it's going to be Tuesday, and we got a shit ton of podcasts to shoot because I'm away this upcoming weekend and everything. The past 5 days of my life have been insane, and the next 5 feel like they're also going to be insane and everything. But I've been waiting to get on this desk and talk to both you guys about just everything, basically, including Connor over there. Connor, how you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Happy to be back talking about these games with you guys. There's a lot to dig into here, and I'm really excited to be able to bring this news to everybody or give our hands-on impressions. And thank you guys so much for making this happen. Getting these opportunities is only because of the support that you guys have had for us over the last 2+ years. So thank you all so much for making this happen. We truly are very lucky to be able to do this. This show is made possible by our lovely supporters over on Patreon. If you want to support the channel, you can go over to patreon.com/coop64, one word, for coop64. You get a bunch of exclusive goodies over there, like this show and the Casual Gaming News Conversation 3 days early, a bonus episode of the Casual Gaming Conversation, which we have a Q&A coming up. We just did reacting to your top 5 games of all time again. Nick and I debating what the best top 5 was that was submitted. It was a lot of fun, so thanks so much for writing it for that. At the higher tiers, we have the Coop64 podcast, Recollecting Retro, additional bonus TikToks, and then we have the highest tier, get your name right at the end of each and every podcast. So we really appreciate everybody supporting over there. On the Twitch side of things, I'm playing The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past on Wednesdays. Nick is going to be finishing up Sekiro and then hopping into...
I don't know off the top of my head. You go and continue housekeeping, and I'll go and look. I believe it's Super Metroid.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm playing a short game before we get into Mario.
Or you're just playing Sekiro for the foreseeable future if you don't beat it. So.
Yeah, which, no joke. I think that right now it's Tuesday. I'm going to try the final boss a couple times off stream, just get a little bit further into that fight. And then my hope is I get on stream, beat it in an hour, and it's Mario Kart World with the community for the rest of the stream. That's my dream. The reality of the situation is there's a good chance we're playing Sekiro on Tuesday.
And then on Mondays, we'll be back with the Pokemon Nuzlocke. I have grinded to get the Pokemon up to where they need to be. I still have a little bit more to go. I want to get a couple more close to that 40 range, and then I'll feel pretty comfortable. But for now, we only have 2 of them at 44, 43. But we're making our way there. What else? Anything else we have for housekeeping? Join the Discord. Link in the bio for that. Great community of over 2,700 community members. Merch that is linked in the bio as well. T-shirts, hoodies, mugs. Leave us nice reviews over on Apple Podcast services. I didn't prepare the housekeeping. I'm doing this straight from memory right
it's
now.
Not like we don't do it for every show.
Yeah, I know. This is an unconventional show because we're not doing hot takes. We're not doing a draft at the end. We're just going to talk about the games. And have a fun discussion on that. I mean,
we got a lot of games we got to talk about too,
exactly.
Which it will be quite fun. But yeah, other than just thank you for all the support over on Patreon. And when Connor said this was not this is all possible, only possible with you, your support and just allowing these opportunities to happen. It really, truly is the highest thanks we can possibly give. So thank you.
Yeah. So let's get right into it. We're gonna go with the big dog here to kick this one off. We got the opportunity to see Resident Evil 9 behind closed doors gameplay, about 30 minutes, and it was awesome.
It was quite awesome.
Do you want me to just break down everything that we saw here?
Yeah,
or just go
sure.
play by play. So we go into this room. They give us 2 demos, one for Onimusha, which we'll get into later, and then one for Resident Evil 9, which we didn't know was going to be Resident Evil 9 until they started talking about it, which was awesome, very exciting. Resident Evil Requiem is what it's called. And it opens with our main character, Grace Ashcroft, right? Is their name. They're on that table that you saw in the trailer, like trapped, and they get free in this cutscene, and then from there it switches to first person, and we all were like, "What?"
Me, Connor, and Brady were all sitting next to each other. I put the 1 up between all of us just to be like, are we all having the same thought process right now that we are back in first person Resident Evil past the Ethan Winters saga and everything?
We did not know that this was going to be the case. We thought that, I think a lot of us assumed that, one, based off of the rumors, that we might be playing as Leon. We're not. We're playing as Grace.
Nope.
And that it was going to be third person, and it's first person. So we go through this demo in first person, seeing the gameplay on the screen, and it's very spooky. It's very scary, for very much like akin to Resident Evil 7, in my opinion, with the amount of frights. Very dark, very dingy, very like tense, with just walking through these hallways. You're in some sort of manor / hotel potentially.
Yeah.
Like there's room numbers and everything. And you have your classic Resident Evil fare of going through, finding particular items that you need to progress. And there's a fuse box that needs an extra fuse. You go pull that one off.
Just classic.
Yeah, which I feel like
Classic.
is in every single game.
Yeah.
You find the fuse, you need to get a screwdriver. They go stand on this table thing, get the screwdriver down from the box, and then have to make their way back to the fuse box thing to get the additional fuse.
And as you're doing that, it is just as tense as humanly possible. Like when you say you have to stand on a box to get another box and everything, the entire time you're like, what's going to get me? Like am I going to turn around? There's going to be something. Like everything is so dark and terrifying that at any moment you're like, it's going to be the Resident Evil moment of just pure horror.
I loved how the person playing the game was playing too, because they would like walk around a corner and it would just be a scary as shit hallway, and they would just look and they would go, nope, and then like turn around for half a second. And you're like, yeah, this is exactly how I'm gonna play this game.
It's so dark. Like there's so many hallways that are just pitch black, and that there's options to like go into these rooms, and they're trying to turn the light on and it doesn't turn on, and they're like, nope, we're not going in here right now. But eventually you do have to brave the darkness and go in there and try to find whatever you're looking for. And you hear these things off in the distance, and eventually you get into this cat and mouse type situation with this big monster, very tall hulking monster. You saw their teeth in the trailer, and they are as terrifying as you might be able to imagine in the game.
Do you remember how they introduced the monster? Where you were like leaned down and you're like looking at this body, and then the monster picks it up and then just munches the head off of this body, and you're just like, you're face to face with this monster just munching on it, and you're like, all right. You start taking off and you're like, this is not fast enough.
Yeah, you start being like, you book it away from the monster. It is so terrifying. Like I remember the goosebumps, the amount of tension in my body was what I felt while I was playing RE7. Well, what I felt while I was playing the opening of RE8 and everything. It was that exact emotion on screen.
And they'll come up behind you, and you can hear them like chasing you down, very similar to how it felt running away from Jack in Resident Evil 7, or maybe even Mr. X in Resident Evil 2 remake or the original. And they'll like grab you eventually and like take a bite out of you, and then you'll be put back down and you've taken damage, which was terrifying and when that happened. And you go through, you finally get away from them, and you like can go into hiding and kind of reset, and then the beast will like go off and go away from you, and then eventually it'll probably find you again, which happened during the gameplay sequence that we saw. And then they finally get all the tools, all the items that they need. They're going to get out. It's an amazing gameplay sequence that we got to see. And then they hit start. They go into the settings. They scroll down and they switch from first person to third person. You can play Resident Evil Requiem in third person or first person, assumedly for the entire game.
Yeah.
This was arguably, I'm getting chills right now. This was arguably the best moment I've ever seen in any demo ever. Not just because it was unbelievable, mind-blowing, exactly what I think any Resident Evil fan would want, but to be in a room full of press and everybody starts clapping and cheering, it was electric. It was pure octane energy from a setting switchover. But if you're a fan of the franchise, you know exactly how important, how cool that is, because as somebody that loves Resident Evil 4, as someone that really loves Resident Evil 2, and as much as I enjoy 7, I don't know if I can do 7 all the time of that first person horror. It was pure energy. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody always has their preference, which one they want, and they always go back and forth in Resident Evil. And like you said, I mean, personally, I'm a third person guy when it comes to video games. When it comes to horror games and Resident Evil stuff, number 7's my third favorite game, but at the same time, it's the scariest. And if that's what this game's going for, first person is the way to go. But I don't know what I'll do. I'll probably switch back and forth.
I don't know either. And you felt the fear, and I think a lot of that came from it being in first person, just the vulnerability of not knowing what's behind you because you don't have the camera pulled back. And it really made the demo very scary. But I'm in the same boat. I love Resident Evil 7. I love Resident Evil 8. I enjoy the first person perspective, but RE4 Original is one of my favorite games of all time.
It's one of the goats, like straight up.
RE2 and RE4 Remake are excellent in their third person. I wonder how they're going to be able to translate, like, if you're still going to feel, because like RE4 is kind of like more of like an action game, and RE2 kind of has a little bit of that, but I imagine it's going to feel more like RE2 than RE4 when you're in third person.
Absolutely, yeah, because RE2 is like a nice mix of, I like to think RE2 is like a good mix of 4 and 7. Like it's still scary, but you got that action and you're like, you're running away, but you're still fighting.
Yes.
To where 7 is just straight spooks session. I think that's what they're gonna go for in 9, but I don't know. Yeah, throwing in third person when I get a little too scared, I think is gonna be the move.
Yeah. No, for me, I'm gonna play that. I understand myself. I'm playing that whole game if it allows me to in third person, because I'm easily scared. I know that about myself, and I always want to play these games because they're some of the best games out there. That I only show up for horror games when it is the best of the best, because I don't want to miss out. I get FOMO when it comes to games.
Right.
And so like, I'm going to play this game in third person. So when it was first person, I very much had a moment where I was like, oh shoot, like I kind of wanted third person, but I know what this team's doing. I know that the game's going to be great, but I would have been like, I was like, oh, we got to wait for RE10 to get a new RE game that's third person. No, we're back, baby.
I was definitely conflicted in that moment of like when they showed first person. I was like, ugh. I love RE7 and 8, but like I don't know if I want to do this again. And as it went along, I was totally sold on it.
Yeah.
And even if I like wasn't immediately convinced in that moment, I still would be so excited for this game because I love those other two.
Right.
But I just expected to see third person, and when we didn't, I was like, oh. Okay, and I was like, I wonder how people are going to react to this. It was what was going through my mind. But the fact that you have both of the options, it's best of both worlds, and I think that's really impressive. There are questions that we still have. We didn't see any gunplay, no shooting.
Yeah.
So
that's another part of this. There's a moment they pick up a lighter, and you're in these dark ass hallways, and all you got is the lighter in the first person. It is
you're very vulnerable.
That's a great word for it, because at any moment you're just like, I'm going to get chomped on by this beast all of a sudden, this hulking around a corner or anything. Like, it's so scary.
This thing is so tall. It's head is pressed against the ceiling. It's terrifying.
It looks like it can climb things.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know exactly how mobile this thing's gonna end up being, but at any moment it can turn the jets on, it feels like.
I wonder what it's gonna look like in the third person. We didn't see it that way, right? So like seeing that from a different perspective is gonna be super interesting as well.
My assumption is, like you said, hopefully it's a little bit less scary just in general, but I also assume that the design, because it's so big, and I think the correct word for this monster is monstrous. Like, it is a huge unit chasing you around and everything. I think that it'll be plenty scary for myself, who does not want this crazy first person experience all the time.
Yeah. I'm all aboard the hype train for this game.
Oh, absolutely.
February? Are you kidding me?
I already was all aboard the hype train, but I think that's the ambition of getting this game to be playable and hopefully very fun in both perspectives is very ambitious. And I'm very excited to see what this team did to make that happen and how that all functions. Being able to play this game twice, potentially, just in the two different perspectives and get a totally different experience, I think is super cool, super interesting. I can't wait. So
Yeah.
I cannot believe we got to see this. So it was awesome.
Across the board for us, this was the game of the show, right? Like where we like, there's some other stuff that we're going to talk about on here for personal, like hands-on and stuff like that. That I'm very, very excited about and cannot wait. I left this showing being like, this is not a must play for me. This is like, we look to 2026 and we talk about like what that year is shaping up to be. I don't know how this is not my most anticipated game for that year and like one of my most anticipated games in gaming in general at this point.
What do you even compete with it right now? GTA.
Yeah, GTA.
GTA, but I don't know.
I'm more
This is
I'm
more
anticipating this
my
way
bag.
more.
Fable's on the board too.
Well,
It's,
yeah.
Gears. And for me, it's like I love Resident Evil 7. I think that game's like really great to amazing. My opening experience of RE8 was like really solid. RE4 remake is one of the best games ever, and then RE2 is great for me. Just like being able to have, I think that they're like trying to be like, how can you make this as scary as possible while also adding some of that action gameplay back in, and it looks like they're gonna nail it. So I can't wait. I literally cannot wait.
Yeah. Moving on from there, hard to follow that, but we're going to go to Shinobi from Sega. Nick got to go hands-on with this for about 45 minutes. What are we thinking?
This game rips. Like it rips. The action, 2D setting, some of the abilities you get early on are super awesome. Whether you're taking out like a small enemy with a throwable weapon and it, like just trying to take chip damage on some of those smaller guys, or you're starting to take on some of those bigger foes and you have to hit your combos. It's arcadey, but also extremely tight gameplay. Like seeing the combo limit hit there and like start hitting those higher numbers, I was like, that's really cool. And then there's abilities that you're able to gain later in the game that's like, get a combo over 15, you're going to do even more damage and stuff like that. So hitting those combos felt even more satisfying a little bit further into the demo. There was two parts of the demo, the opening of the game, and then they put us a little bit further in. So that ability was later in the game, and there was a couple other abilities that were later. But just being able to play this game and see what the platforming would be like, see what just the enemy design would look like. It looks awesome. It plays awesome. The art style is so well done. The music cooks. That was the star of the show for me. One of the lead designers was over the shoulder for after I finished the demo, and they asked like, "Hey, like, what did you like? What did you dislike?" The first thing I said was the music pairs so well with the arcadiness of the gameplay, but also giving it like modern sensibilities and style. Like a game like this for me. Normally, I'm not too sold on of, I want to play 10 hours of this. I think when you think of the arcadey type experiences, you're in a combo breaker and stuff like that, you think of your 4-hour, 5-hour video games. For me, I was like, give me a ton of levels of this. Let me go back, do a bunch of things. There's an ability that breaks down like a wall that you get later in the game. There are walls that you can't break down on those earlier levels. They want you to go back, play those levels, hit that higher combo, get the high score and everything. But also, I think just what I'm going to probably end up doing, the streamlined gameplay of just going through the entire world and levels, is going to be awesome and excellent. Any questions? What's up?
How do you think this is? I know that they're different types of games, but like you have Ninja Gaiden Ragebound coming out. And then Shinobi, the return of two franchises like this. Do you think it's doing enough to like differentiate it from what we've seen of Ninja Gaiden?
Yeah, I think that the music, like getting hands on in the music and everything working the way it does together, plays so well that I am now having that impression and everything. Like that's gonna be awesome. They are very similar when it comes to art style and everything, but Shinobi has some of those differences when it comes to, I believe, the combos and really focusing on more of the screen by screen side scrolling aspect of it, where like you get out of frame, you're into a new frame, new enemies, all that stuff is gonna hopefully help it differentiate itself enough to help just what that game is trying to be. And also it's It is awesome.
Do you have any idea how long it's going to be?
No, I did not ask. That's gonna be a part of a lot of the preview stuff that we talked about today. Is we might have asked, we might not have.
Right.
No one's giving those extra
Yeah.
details out. This is not what that press is trying to look like. But the thing for me is, I was talking to Connor about it. I don't know if this is like a 30-hour game for me, like where I would be willing to put in a ton of time. But if this is 10 to 15 hours of like quick hits, not only on my radar, but like.
That's what I expect.
That would be the sweet spot. It would be like 10 to 15.
Yeah.
I think, for obviously a game like this. Yeah.
And I'm in. We also got to face off against a couple bosses. The bosses in this game are simple, but immensely satisfying to go against. I died a couple times. It was not super easy all the time, but it was you're on the single screen. It's a tall ass enemy. They do a move that takes up a majority of the screen. You have to double jump over whatever that obstacle is. Get to the boss, a couple quick hits. Then they do a purple attack that you can't break, so you know you have to dodge away from it. Like that type of song and dance wasn't Souls-esque hard, but it was like perfectly fine-tuned, I would say, and left me immensely satisfied to beat a boss. And then I was like, oh shoot, I want to get to that next level to see what that boss fight is. I want to see what's around the next corner. I really enjoyed this one.
Next up, we have Blighted from Drinkbox.
The return, Connor.
Yeah, I played Severed earlier this year. I'm the #1 Severed fan on the internet, apparently. I've played Guacamelee, dug it. I've not played Nobody Saves the World, their last game, but I've heard great things about it. Blighted is awesome. I'm really excited about this game. It has so much depth to it when it comes to the different aspects of combat and the world and the story. The art design is fantastic, does remind me of Severed. The developer said that you might notice that there's some like interesting like comparisons there, and I was like, yep, I noticed that immediately. So that's very cool. This combat is like, it's an ARPG, kind of not top down, but like to the side and above. And you can play it co-op, the whole game co-op, and you go through these areas similar to like a Diablo. It kind of looks like that and plays like that in the immediate like when you pick it up. But it has a parry, it has dodges, it has a gun. I heard Greg Miller talk about it and compare it to like Bloodborne and Souls games, and I was like, yes, like I did feel that immediately when it comes to like the dodge and the parry and how hard enemies hit you and all of that. I got to take on a few smaller enemies. You will do slashes and then you can like do a finishing move on them, and that'll build your gauge up. You also have this thing called Blight, which they're still early on and trying to decide how exactly it's going to work, but it changes the environments, changes the enemies around you depending on how well you're doing. So it'll scale differently. So if you're doing really well, the blight will go up. You'll be able to take on more difficult enemies, and the world will change around you. And I thought that was really fucking cool. It also has Metroidvania aspects. When you beat certain bosses or go to certain things, you're gonna get different abilities. That we got this one that was like a big horse skeleton thing that like slams down on the enemy. That looks really cool, but can also be used in the environment to unlock things as well, which I thought was awesome. The dev let me, we fought two bosses, and he was like, it's scaled for one person right now. So like you can do this alone if you want to, or we can take it on together. I was like, I'll do the first one on my own or whatever. Parried him or whatever, hit a few parries. They were very impressed by that. Didn't use any of my pots to heal, just totally owned the first boss, which was super cool. Second boss, I was like, let's just do it together just for fun. But it was an awesome experience. Blighted, I think it's still, they said it's still very early. But getting to go hands-on with this was one of my favorite experiences from SGF. Please support the team. Keep an eye on this one. I love Drinkbox, and I think what they're doing with this when it comes to the art direction, when it comes to the really kind of creepy body horror is what they're kind of going for with the story. Like you're eating brains in this or whatever.
Yummy.
And like they show that in cutscenes and stuff like that. It's really cool and really different and really unique. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
Is this one, obviously the co-op aspect of it is not like something you got to hop in too much into and everything. You're not playing like a long extended time with
I was
this.
co-op the whole time though.
Outside of the boss fight?
Yeah.
Okay. But when we are co-op 64, we talk about co-op games quite a bit. is this game going to be one that Brady and I need to be on the couch for, streaming and trying to have a fun time? Or would you be like, one single player is sort of what the beast should be?
I think it can be fun either way, and it's gonna be a great time no matter which you go for. Like I don't think it's designed specifically for co-op, but like I think it's gonna be a great experience to have co-op. Like we were having a lot of fun. So
Nice.
Well, did you ask them the $1 million question?
How long is it?
Is it coming to Vita?
that is fair. No, I did not.
Damn.
Next up, we have a game that Connor and Brady both got hands on with. This was a hell of an announcement from Summer Game Fest season. It kicked off the state of play. Lumines Arise. Initially, Brady got hands on with it, and then Connor took over because all three of us were on the couch, so I also did get to see this gameplay and everything and what this team is doing as a follow-up to Tetris Effect. But boys, how was your time with Lumines Arise?
You kick it off, Brady. You played first.
I did play first. It was quite the embarrassment. I mean,
By the way, the game, not the game.
No, my performance, the game was beautiful. It's amazing. It's immersive. The music, the sound design just locks you in. I was sitting there. Connor's next to me. Connor's a big Tetris Effect guy. Not me as much, but it's like a Tetris Effect meets Beat Saber. It just locks you in. It's super immersive. There was one level we played where it had two chameleons like just dancing on the side.
Yeah.
And the art design's so cool. So it locks me in, and I'm just like not good at those style games. I'm like my brain, and we got like one of the workers for the game sitting next to me, and my brain just shuts off, and I'm like, music's good, but I'm like trying to figure out what to do, and I have like one earbud out so I could talk to the one of the
devs. Yeah.
I didn't know if he was a developer, but yes. Yeah. One of the developers next to me, and so I'm kind of like asking him questions, and I can hear Connor next to me just like giving me advice, like do this, do that, but I can't hear what he's saying, and I am failing real hard, but having a great time doing it. I think this is would be a fun. I'm not like a huge VR guy, but like I said, I really enjoy Beat Saber. This is definitely one I could see myself like throwing a VR on and just getting lost in the sauce and just enjoying the music and the colors and the sound design. And then I was like, please, I game overed, which was like, I didn't want to ask him if I was the first one to do it because I was afraid of the answer because it was probably going to be yes. Because it's not that it's an easy game, but I'm just was immensely bad at it. And I'm like, Connor, please take this and show this man how to play this game.
I do have some good news for you. I talked to some people that played it after the fact. You were not the only person on the weekend to game over. It happened a few times. But yes, then Connor did take over.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You like Tetris Effect? That's what this is, but it's Lumines. This is my game of the show.
Yeah,
really. Nice.
I think this game is fucking phenomenal. I've never played Lumines. I own Lumines Electronic Symphony on Vita. I've heard great things from Greg, being mentioned now twice on the podcast. From Greg, he's like the #1 Lumines fan, and so I've always had this series on my radar. It makes perfect sense for the Tetris Effect treatment to get that or whatever. I hopped in on the second level or the second like string. If you play Tetris Effect, like there's different like phases where you're going from like song to song. So I hop in on the second song and then did the third. I wasn't that much better than you. I'm also not very good at this game. It frustrated me to no end that I'm like, I need to be good at this game. I want to play more of it, please.
I will say that, like, as I was watching it, it's one of those that when you're watching it without the music and everything, you're like, why aren't you doing this? But I totally understand. You're so by Tetris Effect, you are locked into a different universe when you're playing these types of games.
I needed to figure out how to use the whole board. I would like focus onto like one area to be like, I need to clear this, and then like I just was not clearing anything else, and I think that's a problem.
And then you have this special move where you hit one of the back triggers, and then I don't remember what he called it, but it like slows it down, burst, I think. And he's like, I remember the dev would like tap us and be like, you got burst, and I'm like, dude, I can't focus. I'm too but in the best way possible.
That's how you clear a bunch of lines and slow mos and everything. And
the best thing was when Connor finished up. He takes his headset off. We get up. We thank him. And we walk away. And Connor goes, "Was the music bumping for you too, dude?" I was like, "Yeah, it was real good."
Yeah. The music is fantastic, as is with Tetris Effect. So like just expect that type of experience. It's something that you can put headphones on and like lock in with for hours potentially. I don't think this game is going to be particularly long, just like Tetris Effect isn't particularly long, but like it's going to be something you can replay over and over and over again and be a lot of fun.
Before we move on, I don't know if that's where you're heading. Connor and I are back at the Airbnb after the first day of SGF Play Days, and we're having a great time. a lot of conversation going down. We're breaking down the past few days and everything, what's happened and where are we going with everything. And I go and I look at Connor and I just am like, so Lumines, like you and Brady had a great time. And I was on the couch, but we never like talked about it. We're going appointment to appointment and everything.
Right.
And so we're finally sitting down. We're finally talking about it. And it was so stinking fun to be like, so it's coming out this fall, right? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, welcome to Connor's top 10. And he's like, yeah, it's probably gonna end up on my top 10 this year.
It's
Like,
such an easy game for me to like just fall in love with. I feel like just like Tetris Effect, which I could argue is a perfect video game because Tetris is a perfect video game. So
and it's gassing up the Tetris experience in the same way that it looks like it's gassing up the Lumines. I gotta
start practicing on Vita. I really do. I gotta start playing Lumines. I cannot be that bad at that game. Like I need to learn it before.
I'm okay. I don't think I have faith in myself to not be bad at that game, but I'll play it.
The other part of this is like, because it's not going to be that long, I assume that myself and Connor will definitely play it. This could be something I force Brady to play. If you guys want Brady to play it on stream, we can make that happen. So you can have the Brady experience.
Give me a Souls game over this, dude. I'll play Demon Souls over this, dude. I can't. This is harder for me for some reason.
But it was. I think that this might legitimately. We joke about you streaming it, but like, this could be an all-in level of like we all just sit on our PC setup. It's not on PC, but like just plug it into our nicer monitors and everything. Put the headset on and like lock the hell in and have a great time there. All right, moving on to the next one.
Yep.
Next up, we have Wuchang Fallen Feathers. Me and Connor both went hands-on for an hour with this one. Another Souls type experience. I can kick us off. This game is pretty good, and
this is definitely one of the Souls games of all time.
Yeah,
that's a nice way to put it.
And with it being one of the Souls games of all time, it's such an interesting thing. I want to talk about what they did great first with this. I think that it is a unique experience of flipping over weapons that you get early on, and the game's all about the dodge mechanic. It allows you to charge up your L1, L2 abilities that you get, and each weapon has sometimes like a more different and distinct L1, L2 ability that you get every single time you dodge. You're allowed to hit one of those buttons, and it's pretty fluid in that sense. Use R1, R2 for your light heavy attacks with whatever weapon you're utilizing. But the game's really about the dodge. It's not your parry. This isn't Phantom Blade Zero where it's all about the parry, or Sekiro. It really is more Black Myth. It's about the dodge and how that dodge feels. I think the dodge feels pretty good, but not excellent by any means. We played through a level, got through a boss fight. I beat that boss. Brady was over the shoulder. The boss felt super satisfying to go and beat. It was hard. I died a few times. Overcoming anything that's difficult in video games, it does feel satisfying. Beating that boss with Brady over my shoulder, twice as satisfying.
Yeah, I was gassing him up.
Yeah.
I was gassing him up. It was good.
There's also magic abilities that you're able to utilize. Where for me, the way I beat the boss was dodge. I have my magic back up a little bit, go and throw it. Go in back on the boss, slash a couple times. They go for a big ability that's trying to take me out. Dodge, perfect dodge it. Get the magic ability back out, and just rinse and repeat that. So I wasn't taking too much damage by staying in the pocket too long and everything against that boss fight. But I think that overall it was just a good to great experience. I don't think that this one is going to take over the world by any means, but also I think that what is here is still really good, really great. It's well polished. It works well. Connor, what was your experience with the game?
Yeah, I feel pretty similarly. Like, I just think that it is a rock solid game, but I don't feel super strongly about it. I think if you're a Souls fan and you're trying to scratch an itch, I think this is going to meet that and potentially then some if the game progresses in a satisfying way as it goes forward. I think from the trailers, I like the bigger bosses that we saw in the trailers. The boss that we got to fight like wasn't this like spectacle. It was just, it was a fun fight, but it wasn't like this, like it didn't stick with me because of the visuals. There was one fight earlier, like a tutorial fight that I thought was like pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that was a lot better, that I think you were supposed to die on in classic Souls fashion, that I was like, oh, that one was really cool. But I didn't see anything like that throughout the earlier part of the game that we got to play.
Yeah.
it just feels fine. It doesn't feel great on the sticks where I'm like, this feels amazing. We got to play Phantom Blade Zero last year, and that felt amazing immediately.
All three of us game of the show type level stuff.
As I had played Black Myth Wukong last year, I think that game feels a lot more fluid. This game just feels a little bit stiff in its combat mechanics. I think when it comes to like customization and the different things you can do there, it's very interesting. I think people are going to have like interesting builds. The two weapons that I got to try, I thought were both unique enough to have that different experience based off of which weapon I was using. This game comes out soon. I'm very curious to see where people fall on it. I think people are going to generally like it. I'm just curious if people are going to love it.
I also think because the dodge is like so much the point of the game. We're coming off of Black Myth last year where that game lives and dies by the dodge. You don't have that parry mechanic at all. It is truly all about the dodge, and that dodge feels great. Like that dodge is so well refined, so like exactly what I want. This dodge is great. It is not just like perfect by any means. And so yeah, I'm excited to see what the impressions are going into July's release date.
Next up, we have Crimson Desert, which I got to go hands-on with. I know this is a lot of people's like one of their most anticipated games, and there's a lot of buzz around this game. I've seen very little about this going into it. Only really heard from other people that they're excited about it, but I didn't know a ton about the game. I got to play about an hour. This game is incredibly complex, but very interesting, and I think it's going to be very much for a hardcore group of people. And I'm just curious to see like what this looks like in a grand scale and like what it looks like over the course of an entire game, and what it looks like if they were to drip feed all of these mechanics to you as you're learning the game. We were put pretty far into the game, and the developer who was sitting next to me walking me through everything was explaining all of the mechanics to me, and I was learning a lot really fast. So to just go over this, like it starts and we're preparing for some sort of siege, and I'm tasked with loading a cannon, taking out a few towers. Then I go over and like raise a banner, and I'm learning this mechanic to raise this banner by pressing L3, R3 at the same time to like go into focus mode. Press square and X at the same time to start picking it up. Spam X to pick it up and raise it above you. Press triangle to grab it, and then you line it up and put it into the flagpole stand. And it's like, okay, that's a lot of steps to do one basic thing. And he's like, remember this. It's going to be useful later. And I'm like, all right, I'll try my best. And I did remember it. I did remember how to do everything, which is impressive because this was an hour later. And so then we start, we go forward, and we're making our way to the location where we're going to be doing this like big battle, and we're going to get into a bunch of combat. And the traversal in this game is also very interesting. You press L3, R3 to go into focus mode. You can look up at something and press triangle and zip to it. And then you can press square to kind of like hover and fly through the air. Then you can press L1 again to then focus on something and zip to that. And you can kind of just like fly around and zip and zip and zip. And you can go really far in this world just by doing that and traversing this large open world with this traversal mechanic. I thought that was pretty impressive and pretty cool. Difficult to get down at first. I was not cool looking doing it, but by the end I was like, oh, I'm getting this down, and this feels very satisfying. So that was very fun. We get to the combat scenario. You're in this massive battle with a ton of different NPCs and enemies to fight, and we're going over like all the different combat mechanics. You have two weapons, and you can press L1, R1 to attack, but then you can switch weapons like mid-attack to do like a chain thing. So like I would use my like regular sword and then switch weapons on the third button press or whatever, and like do this like big swing and slam onto enemies. And now I have my like battle axe, and I'm swinging away with that. So that was very satisfying to like mix in with, the different combos. So that was very fun, but also very complex in like the different button prompts. You have magic abilities that are on a cooldown, and mixing those in. You also have these wrestling moves, which you can do pressing square and X at the same time. You can run up to people and grab them and literally like suplex them, which was hilarious. You can grab people and like spin them around and throw them at other people, which was also awesome. It just feels like you have a lot of different options when it comes to combat, but when you're getting it all thrown at you at once, it's like, this is a lot. Like, I am learning a lot, and it's hard to like remember to like mix everything in and try everything out. But I was trying to do all of that. I was trying to kind of get a buffet of all the different mechanics here, and I found it pretty satisfying. And in the sequence, the enemies will just keep coming at you, and you're supposed to go to the next objective. So I was just fighting a bunch of dudes, and also just kind of circling back. This is gonna just be the ramblings of a madman because there's so much going on here. Earlier we took out the armaments and took out those towers, and I guess that like unlocked this ability to have like an airstrike linked to my arrows. So I'm in this environment with like a bunch of people, and they're constantly spawning in. I'm supposed to be going to the next objective, but I'm like learning the combat and everything, and later on I get to where I need to be, and I need to make some space for myself, and I'm just shooting arrows at the ground, and then like hell is letting out from the sky, like rockets like coming in and lighting these enemies up, and I'm just spamming that to just get some space. And eventually we get to this like tank thing that I'm tasked with getting on top of, because there's spikes on all the sides of it, and I need to get on top of it and do this magic ability where you can kind of like jump and then use your magic ability to go higher and higher and then slam down. And getting that whole process felt a little bit stilted because I'm still like learning all of these mechanics and how to even, I was still learning how to zip to things like more easily. It doesn't feel like super intuitive, but it is satisfying once you get it. So I finally get on top of it, do the thing, we win that battle. It's very satisfying, very flashy, looks very solid. I don't think like the facial animations are like top of class, but I think like the overworld and the general environments look very good, very impressive. And then this culminated in a boss battle, and the boss battle was hype as fuck, dude. It was super cool. You're fighting this guy in this like chapel, and you're slashing away, and the developer was like, I don't know if you noticed, but you're not doing a ton of damage. And I was like, oh, interesting. So I'm dodging, I'm slashing, I'm mixing in all my different combos and everything. And his stun bar is filling. And then eventually, once he stuns, he kind of like will like get on his like one knee and like kind of be winded or wounded, and you then are tasked. You notice that he's knocked down a bunch of pillars in this environment. You have to do the flagpole thing and pick it up, and it's kind of on a timer because he's gonna get back up, and if he hits you while you have the massive pillar, he'll drop it. And it was very satisfying to like get him stunned, go over, do the whole thing, L3, R3, spam, press square and X, spam X, press triangle to pick it up, and then line it up and just slam this pole on him. And as he's like getting up, I was very much like under the wire getting this attack in, miss it a few times, incredibly embarrassing. But yeah, I hope that like throughout the game, you're going to be using the environment around you on your different boss battles or attacks and everything. And it seems like that's going to be the case. But going through all of that, I think you can kind of see the picture I'm painting, that this game is very complex and very deep. And the story that they're telling, I got a bunch of details on that, and I think that people are going to really enjoy like the lore of this world. Getting it from an hour, I'm like, that's a lot. I don't know if I am completely following, but like I get the broad picture here. This kind of reminds me in some ways of like the depth of something like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, where it's like people are gonna like be really about digging into this. I'm curious about how this looks when it all comes together. But yeah, I know people are really excited about Crimson Desert. I think that the hype is somewhat warranted if you look at this and what I'm saying does sound fun to you. If you like really deep, rich mechanics, I think you're gonna be all about this. I was very excited to get to play this because I know that people are so hyped on it. But yeah, that is the preview for Crimson Desert.
Thank you for coming to his TED Talk.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But the game is a lot. So
Question for you, and I believe you did touch on it towards the front, but like, this game is for someone. Is that someone you?
I don't know. I don't know.
scared.
Because like I said, if it was drip feeding me the mechanics, like I think I was put really far into this game. So you probably are getting these different aspects fed to you slowly, and you're learning like how to do basic attacks. But when you have all of these options all at once, it can be pretty overwhelming. But I imagine in the first few hours you're learning this and then that and then so on and so forth, and it would be a lot
So
better.
when you're hoisting up the flagpole, you've at least started the pickup process a few other times before you have the mash next
Potentially,
and square. And
yeah.
then,
Or
hopefully.
there's like a tutorial for it
Yeah.
or something like that. But the developer was just explaining it to me, like this is how you do it. So like I imagine earlier in the game there might be a tutorial and you learn different things. But without a tutorial and you just have somebody telling you, he was doing a great job of explaining things to me. He was like, you should try this, and then he'd be like, you press this and this at the same time, and you can do this. And I was like, great. And then I would do it, and it was very satisfying.
This is just a quick side note before we move on to the next one. Everyone that hosted demos did a phenomenal job this weekend. Legitimately, like the amount of times that I had a question or two and there was always a great answer, especially some of the questions that were a little bit more in depth, and they were able to go and answer in depth right back. It was awesome. It was great.
All right, let's take a left turn here. Let's talk about Toem 2, Brady.
You were explaining that game, and I was like, Toem 2 could not be the more opposite of this. Yeah, Toem 2, it's simple in the best way. I went in this blind. I had never played Toem 1. I did not know anything about Toem 2 or Toem 1. I heard rumors around the SGF that this was a lot of people's top game, and all I knew is it's a camera game. So I walked by it a few times. You do see people taking pictures. All I knew is you're taking pictures. But it's so much more than that. It's so cute and wholesome, and then you're just doing little activities and achievements, and you're helping out the town. So there's different worlds, and the world they throw you in is a medieval kind of theme world. It's all in black and white, and it kind of gives you like Animal Crossing vibes. You're just this cute little character with a camera, and there's people all around town, and you go up and you talk to them, and they're like, I need help. For example, I went up to this lumberjack. He says, I chopped this tree down. I don't know where it went. And in each level, kind of like level, but room they throw you in, the really cool mechanic they have is it's like an over top view, except you have the ability to like rotate the camera so you can see it from every single angle. So it's like, there's a building there. Let me rotate behind it. Oh, there's a present back there. So I can figure out how to jump up, climb up this building, get back there to get the present. And the present's always just a cute new outfit that you can throw on right then and there.
Nice.
And it's so enjoyable. So the camera comes in, he'll be like, I'm missing my tree that stumbled down and rolled too far. So you just wander from room to room, and you go take a picture of the tree, you bring it back to him, you're like, here's your tree. You'd be like, oh, cool. All right, I'll go find it. And it's just cute things like that. I had to go find an arrow. It was a very prestigious archer, and he's like, check this out. And then he just slings one straight into the air, and he's like, you like that? He's like, it's gone now. Go find it. And then you got to just go room to room, level to level. And they're all just awesome, cute designs. Like I said, this one was medieval themed. So you kind of go through caves. I had to take pictures of crystals in a cave for somebody. And also all these levels, there's other hidden things. Like there's a gargoyle in one, and you walk up to him, and he gives you 3 riddles. And once you get all 3 of them in a row correct, you get a stamp. So that's where another thing that comes in. With every little thing you complete for everybody, you get to open your booklet, and you get to put a stamp in there. And the way they do it is really cool, because you got just 3 rows of squares, and you get to put the stamp in yourself, and you can put them in however you want. It's cute and customizable, and then you can flip through and see all your different kind of pictures. And you're not only taking pictures to get achievements, you can also walk around and you can collect pictures of animals. There's just all different types of animals, and that's a whole nother broad perspective. You can try to get pictures of all the animals and plants and collect all of them. And then in order to move on to the next level, they said there was like about maybe 14 to 17 different achievements you can get, but you can get 9 and then move on to kind of the next world and see what it's about.
So it's a camera game. You're taking pictures. How is the actual process of taking the pictures? Is it just pull it up, take a picture, snap it, or do you have to like zoom in or like set the framing and everything? Or
so
what?
Yes, you can zoom in, zoom out, move the camera around. Sometimes there's a lot going on within the level you'll be in, so you can kind of move your character just to get the angle you want, because sometimes there's always goats and horses and just different animals you can take pictures of to collect just all the different types of animals. But yeah, one time I went to take a picture of the tree, for example, and I pulled it up and I opened up the camera, and then there's just a horse in front of me, so which is adorable. So yeah, you can zoom in, zoom out, move the camera around, but also kind of angle yourself around the level to figure it out. It's like simple game design, just with like jumping, walking around, and you can grab onto stuff, but for the most part, you're just really relying on that camera, and it's a good time.
So when it comes to the finding the stuff like the tree and the arrow.
Yeah.
Is it just kind of a scavenger hunt type experience, or would you say it's more of a puzzle experience? Like you have to do something or rotate the camera enough to like see whatever you're looking for, or is it really just going through the environments, just kind of looking around, immersing yourself in it, and then finding the
it's
respective
really
item?
it's for ones like that, it's more of a scavenger hunt, I would say. When it comes to like rotating the map and stuff, I'm sure I only played for like 20 minutes. I'm sure down the line you will need to kind of focus on rotating the map for achievements and stuff, but for what I did, it was more to kind of find cute awards and just like I said, little outfits and stuff. But that being said, your main goal is collecting these achievements, but there's also within each level, like I walked into this one room, and there's a statue laying on the ground, and then there's another statue over here, and there's a dice in the middle of the room, and you can kick the dice, and you're like, there's something here.
Right.
And you had to you wandered around, and that was an old little puzzle in itself, and you kind of picked the statue up, and you had to kick the dice a certain amount of times to get it land on a certain number to get the statue back there. And so, along with like helping other people out, there is just cute little puzzles in it like that. Yeah, I don't know.
Nice.
Sounds relaxing. Sounds fun.
And then the sound design, it's just like, it's that just acoustic guitar calming, feeling, just really immerses
Brady
you.
and the acoustic guitar, baby.
Oh, dude, I
That's
love
perfect.
it. I love it. You get really delved into the game. Like, I don't know, I got lost and I could have sat there for hours. It was funny. I had two developers sitting next to me, and they were like, we don't like to talk to people that much. We want you to get immersed into it. Just let us know if you need help. And there's a couple times, because you can go room for room, and you kind of get away from, like, I'm going to help this person out here, but then you kind of get away from them, and I got lost, and I was like, can you tell me how to get back to this person so I can get them their medicine and stuff like that. And also the booklet comes in handy, because you can talk to each person to kind of get your goal to what you need to get your stamp to help them out. And all of your little side missions will come up with descriptions, so you don't lose track of what you're doing. And then they'll come check marks and stamps, and so you can kind of keep track of all that. And if you're sick of playing Souls games and RPGs, and you just want a chill, fun game, I think this is perfect. I'm gonna play Toem 1 until this comes out, and then I'm gonna play Toem 2. It's only about a 4-hour game, so it's just one of those.
The first one is?
He said the first one's a 4-hour game. And then the second one's about a 4-hour game too. If you kind of go through, and like I said, you only need 9 to move on to the next world.
Right, so you can do much more.
So it's really how much you want to do with it. So I think he said it'd be 4 to 5 hours if you complete all of it. Really.
Is this one coming out this year, or is this down the line? Is there a release date? I'm looking up right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't recall. I don't think I asked. But no, it's
2026 is what's planned for.
Okay,
so that makes sense of why
year.
there wasn't an exact thing or anything.
Alrighty. Next up, we have Mixtape. Nick got to play this one. Nick, what are we thinking about Mixtape?
Going into Mixtape, I liked the initial trailer that we got back in Xbox Showcase 2024 that revealed it. I drafted it on my Fantasy Critic team. We saw it at Summer Game Fest. I was really hoping we would get a date on it, because I have it on my Fantasy Critic team. But then I was like, I get to play it. So let's see if it was worthy of this pick. And I'm happy to say that outside of Resident Evil 9, this was my favorite thing that I got my hands on this entire weekend. And I think that it is just exactly what I want from this game. And if you're excited about this game, it is exactly what you want from this game. First and foremost, the soundtrack starts bumping. The first thing that you are doing in this demo, and they started me at the very beginning, it seemed, was you're skateboarding down a hill. They're doing some tricks. They're not the most like.
It's not Tony Hawk.
It's not Tony Hawk. You're not going for combos. You're not grinding or anything. You're just skating down this hill, looking at this beautiful art style, starting to get familiar with some of the characters through their dialogue together, and freaking Devo is playing in the background. And when I say Devo is playing in the background, it is, once again, exactly what you expect from a game called Mixtape. It's the star of the show. It immerses you in the setting, in the world, and just exactly what you want from this level and level design. And the gameplay across the board is not the most, you talk about like Souls games and everything for Toem 2. We're not going crazy with the gameplay, it is very basic, but it's about the music, the world, and the characters. So that was just like the first introductory to this. Then it cuts to the main character. Their dialogue is exactly what you expect from this type of experience. Life is Strange is obviously like one of those like teenage experiences that a lot of people talk about and everything. I think that the slang that they use is very much like setting, time, and place. You're either in on something like that or you're out, in my opinion. I think they ride the line well enough where I wasn't like, oh, like I'm out. Like I don't want to do. I'm like, no, like this fits with these characters, what they're trying to say and everything. The lead character is all about trying to get become like a music producer and everything, and they know about all these amazing tracks from the 70s and 80s that are bumping in the background of everything you're doing, and they're super interesting. And then they have their two friends, this guy and gal that are just like they're perfect companions for this type of story, and it's all about their last night of high school, going out and having one more night. But there's obviously flashbacks and everything that take you to different times and places and stories outside of just what this night is going to be. Narratively interesting enough for me. I was about it. But the side stories were where I was more interested in and just what was like, what's going to happen next. So going through this demo, you skateboard down, you're talking about the party for the last night of high school that you're about to go to. We got to go to my room real quick, wait a little bit, then we can go and try to sneak some booze and everything for this party and all that stuff. And while you're in her room, you're talking about memories, you're finding photos just around the room and putting them up on the wall. After you put them all up on the wall, as once again, a great song from a great band is playing in the background, the conversations between the friends are interesting, cute, delightful, just friends being friends. And then it goes and kicks into, hey, you find this tape, got to put it into cassette player. Thank you so much.
Your age is showing.
I was like, it's a tape. You put it into a tape player. No, it's a cassette.
That would work.
Yeah.
Close enough.
So they're talking about the memory, and the lead character's like, I don't want to play this tape right now. It reminds me, it was the song that was playing during my first kiss and everything. And they're like, I'll play it. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be cool. So you put the cassette in, you press play, and it takes you to the first kiss and everything. So it goes super wide first. It starts zooming in on these two characters that are like they're about to kiss and everything, and it's a little bit awkward tension, all that. And it gets closer and it gets closer, and then it's on their mouths, and then it goes like National Geographic close. You are Mortal Kombat inside these two mouths with their tongues and teeth and the whole 9 yards. And the gameplay aspect of this first kiss is the left stick controls one tongue and the right stick controls the other tongue. And have at it. And it is so uncomfortable and so gross, and just putting a feeling in my body that like I'm like, I don't like this. This feels gross and uncomfortable. And then it is like, it allows you towards like after 20-ish seconds, 30 seconds, it allows you to button prompt out being like, you're all set. Or there's just a line that's like, I'm getting out of here. That was so uncomfortable and gross. And well, obviously talking about this demo to other people in the press throughout the entire weekend was one of my favorite things to discuss because it's so unforgettable. Like how the heck do you forget that? But as I was talking about it throughout the weekend, the thing that I kept on coming to was gross and uncomfortable. And I think that when you're a teenager and you're having your first kiss and it is that like brand new experience, it is gross and uncomfortable. And putting you in those shoes, and I'm like, oh shit, they did a really good job with that. Like it's super interesting gameplay, super bold swing, but like it gets across the theme that they're going for very, very well. Then there's just a couple more small moments in the gameplay of like there's a moment that you're getting away from a party that was another flashback, and one of your two companions gets too drunk, so you toss her into a shopping cart, and now you're going down the hill. There's cops all coming around you. You're spinning the shopping cart, directing it. It's pretty on rails, but you're directing it towards you needed to go. It's getting real insane, and all of a sudden you get to a dock and you fly off the dock, and once again all this set to a bumping soundtrack. You did slow motion, fly in the water, and then splat in the water. It goes back to present day, and one of the guys, the guy companion that was telling the story, is just like, but I don't know if that's exactly how it happened. Well, that's how I remember it. And then it just keeps on going and ripping. Like the side stories are so interesting. Teenager, the gameplay is so unique, and like it's simple, but it's like you're doing new shit every song and mission, and the art style is fantastic the entire time. I played 30 minutes, and like it was the first thing I played on the weekend, and I got out of it being like, there's nothing that I would be shocked if there's something I get hands on with that is going to be better than this. And it truly, I remember the last night I'm talking to some other press people, and I'm just like, what was your demo of the show? And we're wrapping things up and everything. And every single like, if you played Mixtape, your answer was Mixtape. And for me, before it was the end of the weekend and people were talking about what they've been playing, I was like, are you getting hands on with Mixtape? It's so, I want to talk about this game, and I'm very curious to see where this lands on a release date. I'm very curious to see where this lands with the Life is Strange fans. I'm very curious to see where this lands with just the entire gaming community. But as someone that thought what I was going to get was going to be unique and cool and interesting and put me in that setting and have a bumping soundtrack, it delivered everything that I wanted from it. It like what we used to joke about, like E3, you'd hear it all the time, like game of the show. This was my game of the show. So
nice.
Yeah, I can gush about this for a long time. I really hope this one comes out this year because I need those Metacritic points for Fantasy Critic. But like, no, like I can't wait for whenever this does come out. Truly.
Right on. Next up, we have Mouse PI for Hire. Nick and I got to do a hands-off demo, just watch the developer play the game for about 30 minutes. If you've seen this, very unique art style, black and white, cartoony art style. We know now, voiced by Troy Baker, the main character.
The Baconator.
Which
The Bake Show.
he does a great job in the footage that we got to see. This game, I think, delivers on exactly what you'd think it's going to deliver on. It is very unique with its art style, but it's not all style and no substance. The gameplay looked like a ton of fun. He was like switching between all the weapons. Like I kind of like got BioShock vibes from like the way that he was switching through his weapons, or just like really most first-person shooters, but like kind of gave me that kind of vibe when it came to the weapon wheel and stuff. Lots of weapons seemingly. We saw a handful of them, but they all seemed pretty unique.
When you go and select a new weapon too, the way that the art style like almost like springs the weapon in, where it almost looks
the animation.
Like the animation for it, where you go and it's obviously like a solid weapon, but it almost looks like a pool noodle for a moment as it like flops into frame and everything. Those small art decisions, I'm like, this game has some sauce to it for sure.
And when we start this demo experience, getting to watch it, like he explains that there's like different ways to handle things. You can go like route A, route B, and it'll change the outcome or change the situation of exactly what plays out in front of you, which I found pretty interesting. The combat, I think, looks really satisfying. I think I need to hold a controller and experience it for myself and get that visceral feeling of like, what does a shotgun feel like? You're losing something just by watching it, but the way that it looked, I thought looked really amazing. I'm just not sure like how it's going to feel when I'm actually on the sticks when it comes to like the shooting mechanics.
Is it just on Switch or is it on?
I think it's on everything.
I think it's on everything.
Is it gonna be on
I
everything?
don't even know if it's on Switch.
Yeah,
I just looked it up. I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. But you're going through the sequence. You're infiltrating this area. You're gaining information as this Mouse PI for Hire. And
roll credits.
there's different collectibles as well. There's newspapers that give you more lore and more story, and then there's also baseball cards. Ooh. And they said they wanted to be very intentional with the collectibles, that like they want them to feel like you're gaining something with it. So for the newspapers, you're getting lore. For the baseball cards, there's a whole baseball mini game with the cards that you collect. Ooh. We didn't get to see this, but they explained it to us or whatever. And like, I think that sounds really fun. I love a card mini game in games. I love that it sounds like it's going to be pretty robust, and I'm excited to experience that more in this game. So that's pretty cool.
As someone that is not a fan of collectible side missions, stuff like that, keeping me on the main path, I love a collectible that says, hey, utilize me. Like this isn't going to just be something that I was like, oh, cool, whatever, I'm not thinking about it. It goes and allows you to get excited about more of the world. And like Connor said, it can be a card game and a video game.
Right.
You're talking to someone that put in like 20 hours into Tetramaster.
And it seems like it's going to be mission structured. We got to see like one full mission. It's not like super long by any means. And we asked like how long the game was going to be, how many missions there are. We weren't able to get that information out of them. But I think that if it delivers on this throughout the entire experience, from what we saw with the different gameplay aspects, the different collectibles, the story, the soundtrack is amazing. The voice acting from what we saw also really solid.
And not just from Troy, or from the entire cast was great.
So yeah, I think if this game is on your radar, it looks like it's going to deliver what it's going for. Not just, like I said earlier, style, because I think that something like Cuphead, which has like a similarly like animated classic art style, could have gotten away with being a mediocre game and being picked up by its art style, and it wasn't. And I think that's going to be the case here based off of what we saw. So I'm excited for this one.
All right. This is an all play, baby. We're back to Cap.
Yes. The presentation for Capcom started with Onimusha Way of the Sword. This is the return of the Onimusha series, been dormant for a long time. We got to see about 30 minutes. I think that this game, I needed to see the gameplay like in a longer stretch. The trailers, I don't think, have done it the best justice. I think I've always thought it looked really cool, but I was like, I want to know like what this looks like in the moment to moment gameplay without cuts. And from this 30-minute experience, I'm sold.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
I
me
think
too,
I think
absolutely.
the game looks fucking amazing.
Capcom's engine, the thing that they're utilizing for a lot of these third-person games, it seems, is just it's next level. It is as good as it gets in the biz right now, and the way that it seemingly goes and progresses through just normal gameplay, the world is beautiful. The sword play looks awesome. This looks like, obviously, we talk all the time about our third-person action adventure games. There's a reason that's my favorite genre in all of gaming. Like, I love these types of titles, and it looks like Onimusha is delivering the goods when it comes to a sword fighter.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a Souls game by any means.
No.
I think it could have easily kind of leaned into that, follow the trends, but I think it's flashy and fast enough for it to differentiate itself from games in that same genre. You have the classic, like you have the gauntlet, and you're sucking up the orbs as you fight your enemies, and the orbs do different things depending on like the color of them. So that's like another interesting dynamic when it comes to gameplay. Very visceral, very flashy when it comes to like some of these finishers and how you're slashing through people. It felt very it felt like you could feel the sword going through somebody.
Yeah,
you know what I
like,
mean?
there was a couple finishers where you like climb atop the big monster's head and you just shove your sword just directly in the middle of his head. And yeah, I liked what they did with the colors and sucking up the souls, because you have the one stronger one where if you want to get like big damage but kind of take more time and go after them, and it just depends where you're at in the fight. Or you have the quicker one where it goes a little faster, you get a less reward, but you get in and out kind of thing. And yeah, I'm excited the fact that it's not another Souls kind of game. It's not going to be that level of difficult. Like you said, it's not going to be easy by any means, but a lot of times you see games like this and you're like, it is going to be kind of dodgy, parry, Souls-like games, and it will be like that in a sense, but I'm excited that it's not going to like be absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
To
Right.
my
We sorry to interrupt,
No,
but
go ahead.
we're getting an action game with a sword.
Yes.
And it feels like it's been a very long time since we've gotten a straight up just action game with a sword. When I think of action games with swords, it's either we're going down the rabbit hole for Elden Ring and Souls likes, or it's open world like Assassin's Creed Shadows or Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
This feels like it's a little bit more tailored as a seemingly more linear action with the sword, sucking up the souls, taking out enemies in a designed area and everything, that I'm like, oh, this might be more akin to, I don't know, from a narrative perspective, but like something more like God of War with the Leviathan axe, so that close range combat. I'm swiping through a body, and there's obviously, not obviously, there's a really cool move where you're going shoulder to hip, slicing through the body, and like the entire body like slides off the person. It's like, oh, this is visceral and intense and awesome. Like Connor said, was not sold before seeing this. I am now sold. We talk about it all the time. Great developers make great games. Capcom has been on a insane run. When this gets revealed at the Game Awards last year, I think the big question was like, oh damn, you're going deep into your bag. But like, is this going to be unbelievable? I almost felt like I was like, the only way that you're going to go and pull out an old franchise like this is if you got the sauce. It seems that they got the sauce.
Seems they got the sauce. Another cool thing is they mentioned how they were going to be like historically accurate when how like with how the buildings look. You were kind of what we saw, the gameplay we saw was in this village, and he mentioned like if you get a chance to go visit the location of this place, like this is what it looked like,
Right.
Yeah.
and like this is what it still looks like to an extent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a blend
it's-
of fantasy and like the real world.
Exactly.
I think it's really cool. We got to see 2 bosses, both very interesting, very different.
Yep.
I think they both looked like a ton of fun to fight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
What one's more of a monster, one's more of a person,
Yes.
and like that difference is so cool and necessary when it comes to just like you're playing a game that really is just all about the sword. It's not the sword and the gun. It's not focusing on stealth. There's not that like extra aspect. Boss design is obviously going to be really important. To see 2 distinct bosses was really cool.
Yeah, and then I mean, one of the bosses was like just a big monster that you're like, all right, let me beat this guy up, get him rid of him for good. To where the other one was more of like a charismatic villain. It's like I'm gonna see this guy again, and there's layers to this, so it's kind of cool to have like a little bit of both of those.
right.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to Omut. Brady got to play this one. What are we thinking?
Wow. This game it took me by surprise. I've never seen this game before. Obviously, what I played, you can play on Steam, so that's nice because it's basically like a boss rush fighting game. It's kind of like for me, like last year, I was really smitten with Animal Well, and it's got a kind of a design like that mixed with 2D horror, and it starts you out in this cute little just side-scrolling thing. And by cute, I mean not cute at all. It's very terrifying, and it's you're not fighting anything. You're kind of just walking through, meeting up with spooky people, talking to them, just kind of taking in this story. Awesome sound design. It really immerses you, and it's got that like Silent Hill 2-esque like pulls you in and makes you really focus on it. Even though it might not be as graphically impressive as that, it's just that different art style. So it's not scary in that terms, but just where the setting it puts you in, it's spooky in the art style, and they'll have a like words coming up and sorry, what's the word I'm looking for?
Caption?
Captions. There we go. The captions aren't just like thrown at the bottom. They'll like throw them up in the middle of the sky, and it's just spooky letterings, and they come in and they're like almost attacking you, and they scare you. But so you go through, you experience this little story, and then it just throws you into this kind of just boss fight. It's like a Celeste-style game to where it dies, and then or when you die, it just throws you back in, and it's not insanely difficult. It's kind of like a Cuphead-esque game, and it's kind of like I said, it's a boss rush game. So you'll beat this boss. This one that I experienced, it throws you in at first kind of without explaining it, and then once you die for the first time, it was really cool. It kind of like pulls you down to this like depths of hell-esque thing, and this guy just explains to you. Not even in depth, he just goes, "Don't let it touch the ground." And he's talking about the boss because this boss is just floating above you and falling towards the ground, and you're shooting at it with a gun, and it's just bouncing up and down. And every time it hits the ground, it's game over. You're dead.
Oh, nice.
And there was like 3 layers to it. I was frustrated because he said only one other person beat this the entire time. So I'm like, well, I got to lock in. I got to try as hard as I can to beat this. And I got to that kind of 3rd level. And it was funny. He came walking around the corner, and he would see me get to it, and then I would just choke immediately. So that was very frustrating. But what's nice is, like I said, this is on Steam right now, and you could go experience it. So I don't know. Like I said, it took me by surprise. This is definitely one of my top 3 favorite games. I think I want to say that I saw.
Yeah.
That I saw. Top 2 that I played right up there with Toem. Very completely different games, but equally as impressive and entertaining. Like I said, I think I want to say you said there was around 13 different bosses, and so I'm assuming you kind of kill that boss, go back to that 2D side scroller, experience a little bit more of the story, and then it throws you into another boss fight, and you kind of just go from there. Like I said, Cuphead style difficulty. So if you like those kind of Cuphead Celeste-esque games where you're just dying over and over and over, and just trying to get past the bosses. I remember he asked me, how many times do you think, like what's the average you think it takes people like deaths to get through this boss? And I was like, in my head, I was like, I'm gonna say a lot more than I think because I don't want to embarrass myself. I think I said 180, and then he was like, it's like 150. And when I gave up and kind of was getting to that point where I almost had it, but my time ran out, I was sitting at like that 135 marker.
Yeah. I heard people say 100. It took them 100 tries at.
Well, that's embarrassing.
Yeah. I mean, so that's very high for any game.
It is very high. Yeah, like I said, only a few people beat it. You didn't have a ton of time to play it, and it does take a little bit of the time to take in that story and that spookiness before you get to that boss fight. But yeah, it's simple. I love that 8-bit kind of art style, and to bring the 2D horror twist on it is really entertaining. Perfect amount of difficulty, not one where you have to go back through levels to get to where you were. Like I said, it just throws you back in, and it's very entertaining. I'm looking forward to playing it. Go ahead.
I didn't get to play this.
Yeah.
But Brady would not shut up about this game. I went and tried to hop in. I was like, saw the couch was open for a little bit. I walked up to the guy. He's like, we got someone coming in like 5 minutes. I was like, totally fine. But Brady, the only reason I did that and put it on my radar was Brady was so stoked on it, being like, this game rips.
Yeah,
and so
I found myself like walking when I had some time to kill, like walking around just the event. I would kind of find my way myself. It was one of the booths that was kind of up against the wall, so I couldn't just like casually from a distance watch it, but I would just like creep over and like just like look to see if anybody else is getting it. And people were struggling, but it was really fun to see like friends we made this weekend also try it and struggle a little bit, but enjoy it nonetheless.
Last year it was really fun to go and watch the Phantom Blade trailer over the shoulder and watch those attempts and everything. Also though, because people were talking about it a lot this year, multiple people, you're not the first person I've heard being like, yeah, I had to go and see how many attempts it was taking this journalist.
I'm gonna skip Sonic real fast and come back to it just because I have two back to back otherwise. Next up is Petal Runner. This is a 2D style. Well, I guess a Game Boy style is more accurate. Indie game, very cute art style. Love the different like the color palette for this game. You have like companion little Pokemon style friends that you're going on this adventure with. The writing, very endearing, very kind of reminded me a little bit of Undertale when it comes to the writing and how that's presented. Very quick little demo. Played like 15 minutes of it. And I think I got like generally the gist of it, but I think that there's a lot more to this game than what I got out of this one demo. It's coming out in 2026, so I assume it's still a little bit earlier. The biggest unique aspect of this game is the combat, in quotes. There's like different moments where you have to like calibrate something, and I think this is like the core of the gameplay. It's WarioWare. It's WarioWare mini games. It's like, okay, this one, it's like clean the dog, and you have to like scrub the side of the dog, and it's like good. And then it's like land with your friends, and you're like going in on like a parachute, and you have to like navigate them in between their friends safely to like move on, and you have like 3 lives to do this. And there's like a few, I from my demo I played like 6 or 7 of like the little mini games. I hope there's a lot more than that because they're all very cute, very fun. So I found that very interesting and enjoyable. The music here, excellent, very reminiscent of like the Game Boy era. So I would say that it's kind of like a mixture between Pokemon, Undertale, and WarioWare, which I think is very interesting. And I'm very curious to see where like the story is going. They kind of give you like very little to go off of. I think I'm starting off at the beginning of the game, but I was hooked in, and I wanted to see where we were heading from here.
Before we move on or anything, this was another one over the shoulder, seeing it being played. The art style is just so vibrant. It immediately catches your eye. I was so curious to see where you landed with this one, because I was like, that was one of the games just throughout the weekend. It kept on catching my eye.
Right.
And also I love WarioWare. So when you said that, I was stoked.
You're like in this like town, and you have like a motorcycle that you can like drive around on, but so many of the areas were like blocked off because you're early in the game. But once I finished the demo, I was like, you're done. But if you want to like hang out here, like there was like a bunch of little side activities to do with that, which had more little calibrations. And I was like, okay, I want to do more of these, more of these little WarioWare games. So I spent another 10 minutes just kind of walking around because I had more time and talking to everybody, and all the conversations were funny or endearing or interesting. So yeah, Petal Runner, keep that one on your radar. If it looks like it's for you, it probably is for you.
Were we going fast, Connor?
Yeah, next up we have Sonic CrossWorlds. Nick and I both got to play this one. Nick, you want to kick this one off?
I like Mario Kart a lot. Let's just start there. Like, I don't shut up about Mario Kart. If you listen to this podcast, I don't shut up in general, but about Mario Kart specifically. Sonic CrossWorlds Racing is a very, very good kart racer. Like, it's very fast. It's customizable. The Grand Prix are awesome. Just broad strokes. They did a great job with this one. I really was impressed by my demo time. The Grand Prix, to go get in, the first thing you do is select your character. There were 12 options for us, all from the Sonic franchise. Obviously, there was a couple other characters that were revealed during SGF to be in this game, but we did not have access to any of those characters. I would have loved to play as Joker from Persona, and so if I pick this one up later, I'm going to play as Joker from Persona, but I was playing, obviously, as my boy Shadow, because Shadow's freaking rad. And the character that you select is designed to be played with a certain cart. So you have your high acceleration people, you have your high speed people. Sonic is obviously a speed person. You have people that are designed to be better at handling. Just sometimes and often at times it made sense of Sonic, that's speed. Sort of go from there. Some of your bigger, heavier characters, those put those characters in the giant trucks and have them go and be able to knock other characters to the side as you're racing and everything. So you pick up your truck or whatever. There's hoverboards in the games. There's like just your classic sports cars in the games. The carts are customizable in previous sections of the game, but if you just hop in to a standard cart, the one that pairs well to your character, you're good to go. Then you hop into a pre. The pre has 3 different laps. The first lap is the location that you originally are in. Then if you're in first place as the lap is coming to a close, you're able to decide the cross world that you want to go to. You're going to go to a completely different area. It's going to be nothing like what you just played, and you have 1 lap there. Then you go back to the original place that you were at. The third lap music kicks in like it does for any kart racer, and you fly, baby. It's awesome. This game is extremely fast. It's extremely fun. The music's great. I don't think that it necessarily has like the it factor, but when this one originally showed up, we're like, it's going to be a hell of a stream. I'm happy to confirm that this is going to be a hell of a stream, a ton of fun to play. Like, I really, really enjoyed my time with this. I would love to go pick, like, this is one of those, we play it for a stream, you guys go away, it's 10 o'clock, and then I play it till 2 in the fucking morning, and I go through all the Grand Prix, and I try to go and unlock, I don't know if there's characters to unlock, but it just plays different characters, and go and have that experience. I really did enjoy my time with this one. Connor, where were you at after playing through a Pre?
I liked it. I wouldn't say like I fell in love with it from my one Grand Prix that I did, but I thought it was fun. I think that's like the most impressive aspect is that cross-world aspect. I loved like switching the courses. And then did you say the finale, the final one is all 3 of the courses switching back and forth? So it's 4 races technically, but it's you the Grand Prix is 3, and then the 4th race is all 3 of them like switching for each lap. And I thought that was really cool.
Really
cool. I remember
cool.
you mentioning
From
that.
like,
that is cool.
From like a musical perspective, Sonic music has great music.
Yeah, new headline. First time anyone's ever said it. Sonic music kind of freaking rips, dude.
Visually, I think it looks pretty solid. I think this game is just good all around. But if you're a Sonic fan, I think this is going to be very much up your alley.
Yeah.
But for me, who's like kind of lukewarm on Sonic, I wasn't like immediately compelled by playing this. That I was like, the racing just feels so good that I don't really care if it's Sonic or it could be anything, and I would be into this. But I think that like you said, it'll be fun to try out, and I think that this is going to be some people's jam. I just don't know if it's going to be my jam.
And for me, we all know I like racing games. Like, I'm a racing game fan. I also like good music and video games, and you pair those 2 things together, it's going to be a winning formula. And then the Sonic vibes and everything, it was a very fun time. The items were just all right. I think that was one of the weaker parts of the demo, in my opinion.
Also, there's like customizable like nodes you can put in for your cart that like change different aspects of the game. For example, like you can get one that makes it's the green shell in the game, but it's like a green like boxing glove that you can like shoot at people.
Nice.
And you can make it like way bigger. with one of these nodes or whatever. And or you can make it so like the speed boost like is more.
Yeah.
So like there's different customization aspects that go beyond just like cosmetic, which I think is really cool.
And one of them was it makes you be able to do tricks in the air even faster. And so for me, I put that on. And when I was playing through the pre and I have that ability on, I'm going 360, 720, 1080, and I'm just flying around going as fast. And then that speed boost when you hit like a crazy trick, me, we didn't wipe out on any tricks during it. I don't know if that's part of the game. I kind of hope it is. So there is a little bit of risk reward instead of me just spamming a button over and over again and going crazy with it. But when you did hit a crazy high number trick, the extra boost that you would get compared to just hitting a 360 or 720 was notable. It was cool.
Also worth noting, the carts change throughout the race. You fly in planes and you switch like a boat for some of it, which did feel uniquely different when you're switching.
Do you like pick those at the beginning of each race too, or is it kind of just like wrapped into all in the one? Because I know you pick, like you mentioned, you pick your hoverboard, your truck, your cart at the beginning of the race. Do you also like pick your boat?
No,
and
it just switches. It just transforms once you go through. Like, and also you have like choice moments where like you can go off a ramp and like be flying, or you can like stay on the ground and just keep driving. Right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, the two things I were wondering, which you kind of touched on, were how are the items in the game like compared to Mario Kart? Obviously, it's a huge part of Mario Kart, but like, are the items like as entertaining or as kitschy and fun?
I think that's actually where like the game I would think that this is one of Connor's bigger flaws. For me, it was probably my biggest flaw where I was like, I get an item box and I'm not like let's go, like
I didn't feel very strongly about this aspect in one way or the other.
For me, the issue was as such a core aspect of it, I was not impressed. I wasn't like they nailed this, and that's something from a kart racer or any racing game that I'm like, this needs to feel great. I think the drifting in the game also wasn't like perfectly well tuned.
Yeah, the drifting didn't feel
and that's like what once again, I play a lot of racing games. I know obviously I'm not like perfect by any means, but like there is a large difference between like the drifting immediately being like hell yeah, like even the difference between Mario Kart 8 and World. Mario Kart 8 World is about the drifting experience. Mario Kart World is about the grinding experience and flopping between walls and stuff like that. And drifting isn't as much of a focus. The drifting in this game, there is a focus on it, and it's not delivering exactly what I need.
Yeah, the only other question I had is like Mario Kart kind of brings the coins in to where you're collecting these coins and like, it makes you go faster and everything. And that's just another thing to focus on throughout the race. Like the rings are such a big thing in Sonic. Like, do they throw those in anything in like that kind of aspect?
Yes,
or like
there's a ton of rings. I did not pick up on it in this demo how much they affect what you're doing.
Gotcha.
For me, the coins in Mario Kart are so core to it. I feel like I'm going slow right now. I look in the bottom left corner. I have 0 rings.
Yeah.
Coins on the other side.
Yeah.
For this game, it was I have 50 coin or 50 rings, 50 rings, and then I have 100 rings. And I don't notice.
But it's kind of the same thing, like you're collecting on
you're collecting.
There's got to be something to it that I think we don't fully understand.
I'm like, are these going to buy items to more customization down the line?
Collectible. There's like these red rings that you can get that are collectibles for each race. So I don't know if that factors into the like potential like buying stuff or whatever. But
all in all, I had a great time with it. Like I legitimately after the demo finishes up, I was about to take notes and I noticed I was smiling. Like I noticed that this game was actively making me have a great time. Is it because I just love racing game in any video game? Yeah, I do. I always have a fun time while I'm playing a racing game, but like this one was good enough where that smile did not leave my face for a bit.
Last but not least here, we have Directive 8020 from Supermassive. This was a very quick demo. Made up of mostly cutscenes. You are doing your classic Supermassive choices here, where you're like making decisions, very intense decisions towards the end that I found compelling enough, similar to most Supermassive games that I've checked out. I think the setup for this one is really interesting. Like you're in space, and like you have like this whole crew. And like the different live or die type of aspect, I assume, is here from all of your Supermassive games in the past. The main gameplay sequence that I played was kind of another cat and mouse type situation where you're hiding behind barriers as this thing is trying to chase you down. If they see you, they'll come after you. it's very tense in this moment. You're trying to get to a ladder. It's fine enough gameplay. It's intense. It's doing the purpose of what it's trying to go for, I think. When it comes to the acting and the writing, which is kind of what you're a big part of a Supermassive game, I didn't exactly feel like super compelled by any of it. When like one of the major decisions popped up, I was like, I find the prospect of this interesting, of like what we're doing here, but I didn't necessarily find like the characters in that moment to be delivering their lines in a way that I was like, ooh, I like that person, or I don't like that person. They're not good or whatever. But I think that a lot of the context is lost because you're just dropped into this. So that might affect things. I think that it's still TBD on whether this game's going to be great or not. From the experience that I got, it has all the bones of your Supermassive experience. It's just a matter of if it's like filled out with something that's really compelling and really interesting. I did not get that from this demo experience, though, personally.
The way that you described it made me feel like it just didn't have the it factor.
Yeah.
Like it didn't have the one thing that you're hanging your hat on, being like, this aspect was awesome. It was just a lot of, hey, the visuals are solid and there's some intense moments, but like not anything like that's gripping you by the throat.
Right. And I don't really want to spoil like any of the story aspects, but you get like a good read for generally where the story is going and what this is going to be about. And I think that it's interesting and different from other Supermassive games, but it's not exactly like breaking new ground for the horror genre.
Yeah, I mean, I was over the shoulder or like next to you on the couch when you were playing this, so I didn't get the headphones, the release story of it. But like you said, or Nick said, it is a very visually impressive game, and it looks good. I did notice there was a little more like kind of, like you said, I don't want to ruin the story, but there was a little more gameplay at some point. Do you think they'll focus a little more on gameplay, or just like more on the movies?
I think it'll be small little sections similar to like Until Dawn, but nothing crazy.
All right. Well, once again, we just previewed a lot of games. I always like to say that when it comes to a preview or something like that, it's a chapter on the story of what that game actually is going to be. It's not the full book. But with all of that being said, all that preview coverage, all of that conversation was only possible with everyone supporting this channel the way that they do and showing up, whether you support through Patreon or just watching the show or hanging out over on TikTok. It really does mean the world to us. So thank you to everyone. But a special thanks to the people that go over to patreon.com/coop64 and go over to that highest tier, the dearly beloved tier, so they get their name read at the end of every single podcast. People like V Slashing,
Ooh Gracie,
Gray Direwolf,
Fathead,
Dead Man,
JC,
Only One Rufus,
Chooser,
MG Dunbar,
Mr. Munchies,
Farmer Spud,
Rocket Tater,
Nofi,
JC Falcon,
Frozen Crushes,
Swampy Bits,
Jaxie,
somebody, how do you say
Sconzy,
Sconzy, thank you.
Cheery Sentry,
DQ Lonzer,
Strachan 1978,
Tyler D,
Scooterman,
Dascoopy,
Dingleberg Rules,
Centuru,
Hook'em Horns,
Go Nash,
Neutral Sphere,
Charlie W,
Easton C,
Stooby Dooby,
Nuke This Kingdom,
Crispy,
DJ Zach B,
Yuli,
Jacob D,
Big Merc,
Sorry, that's on me.
Metal Nate,
The Patty Cake,
Bear Pog,
Yogi,
Damn,
Holden M,
Colin C,
Brock,
Voodoo,
Dr. Pookie Bear,
Alex the Golden,
Andrew H,
Master Diz,
Drifter X1 Skirt,
Presto,
Maverick,
Oops,
JMat B3,
sorry Connor, Kingdom Hearts Sucks, Verpal Matt.
Ali Benali,
Oh, sorry, Ali Benali, and then also Kingdom Hearts Sucks.
Brady got excited
Vorpal
to get
Matt.
the opportunity to say Kingdom Hearts sucks.
Brady, you think that I don't plan out the batting order of these reads to go and be exactly the last person to say Kingdom Hearts sucks?
You're right.
Or I mean Connor say it, because that's funny every now and
That
then.
would have been the funnier thing to do.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Casual Gaming Conversation. We'll see you on the next one. Peace out.
Bye.